So tonight we have Darleen Santore, better known as Coach Dar. She's an author, licensed and board certified occupational therapist, a sought-after motivational speaker, former Phoenix Suns mental skills coach, plus a leadership and mental edge coach to professional athletes. Her new best-selling book, The Art of Bouncing Back, Find Your Flow to Thrive at Work and in Life, Anytime You're Off Your Game, was released February 2023. And she was recently seen on a billboard in Times Square. And we 100 People to Know award just a few weeks ago. Coach Dar has seen a fair share of calamitous situations in her 25-plus-year career, from major league players suffering slumps and season-ending injuries to executives floundering professionally, plus her own setbacks, including 3 strokes starting at age 25 and the loss of both her parents. So the book is packed with tons of strategies that have proven successful time and time again, and exercises to help you achieve the life-changing results her clients see. So after the event, we'll have books for sale here. We'll have books for sale at the other register right over here, and then we'll have a book signing at the 3rd register by the door. So again, thank you for coming, and thank you.
Okay, since we all know I'm Italian, I can't stay in one spot. So. They asked if I wanted a podium. I said, no, I can't ever speak with a podium. One, I'm too short, so I can't see over them. But this is surreal. This is unbelievable coming home to do this and seeing all of my friends and family. This is better than a wedding. We do. So, Nick, what do you think of that? But I just want to say thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank my parents. I love them so much. And I know they're here and they are smiling ear to ear in heaven. And I have to start by telling the story of my mom and how this got started. So my mom, when I was little, she used to work at Beauty Time Salon, which is literally around the corner here. And she used to sit, everyone's here. And while she was sitting here, I would come over to this bookstore all the time. So she'd find me in this bookstore. And then as we'd go back, and every summer I'd be at this bookstore and we'd be at the surf club. So Madison is literally like our home. And this is such a special place for me. And then every summer that I come home, I come and buy a book here. And my sister goes, you don't even finish the ones you have. I said, we got to go in. And then Derek, can I tell the funny story when we walked in? So one time Derek and I, my nephew, walked in and he goes, what are all these people doing here? Do they still buy books? Like you could read online. And then he's like, well, to be fair, books are now cool again. So here's the thing. One of the things with my mom is, and this is a lesson of don't ever underestimate the power of your words. Because my mom said to me, we were walking by the front of this window here in RJ Julius, and she said, Dar, someday your book's going to be here and I'm going to be the first to buy it. And so tonight we're going to ring up a book for her. Yeah. He planted that seed in me, and I was like thinking at first, like, Mom, I was pulled out of 1st and 2nd grade in reading. I actually had true story. I had reading processing delays. So I had a teacher. Another lesson is the power of a teacher. So some of the 2 most important people in your life is a coach and a teacher, because they will absolutely instill confidence or sometimes affect it. And I actually help a lot of pro athletes that a coach definitely affected their mindset that we're still working through. So your words matter. And I was pulled out of 1st and 2nd grade because I had slow processing, and the teacher helped me so much. And she gave me this love for books that I became this bookworm, and all I want to do is be at the library. And I remember one time my mom, she's kind of like me, we're dreamers. She goes, maybe someday you'll go to Yale. My father goes, yeah, no, we can't afford it. But I fell in love with reading. I love reading. I love books because it's literally someone's life story. It's their wisdom that they share with you for $26. Like, think about it. You're getting their wisdom and their knowledge that they're passing on to you. It's so profound. And you know, there's an expression, look at how big someone's library is versus the size of their TV. It'll tell you a little bit about what they're learning in life. So read more books. There you go. Come to our day, Julia.
What did
But-
you say?
So I have to say to this is, and I've been on this journey, and how this book started, they wanted me to share about this book with you tonight. And how this started was, I had, obviously, I'll share a little bit about my story and going through some adversity, but when I actually got this itch, this calling to write a book, it was in 2012, and I thought I was going to write on awakening greatness. Because at that point, I've been helping people really step into their greatness, step into their calling, help them. I'm a occupational therapist by background, and I've helped people, a lot of people now, over 100,000, step into their greatness. Sports, business, leaders, everyone that I have been blessed to. And so I thought that's what was going to be the book. But you know, God is a funny way of taking what you want and making it on his own timeline. And so I started on this. I started taking classes on how to write a book because I really didn't know how to do this. And if you've never written a book, it's a lot of work. You have to fill up 180 pages of information. And I could say my point usually in 2 pages, and they're like, we need a little more, Tara. So I went on this journey. I remember calling my mom and I said, Mom, I'm going to start and I'm going to write my book. You would have thought she won the lottery. She's like, I told you, I knew it. You're going to write a book. I can't wait. So 2012, that's where it started. And then I started playing around with it. And then I got called out from Nashville to go to Arizona to do work. So it got put in the back burner. And then in 2018, I picked it back up and I signed with an independent publisher. And I said, okay, we're going to make a hybrid and we're going to write this book. Well, 2018, I had my 3rd stroke, and I'll get back to the first one, but I had my 3rd stroke. And it took away my ability to speak fluently and also read. When I would look at pages, I could not read. I could see the words, but it looked like a puzzle to me. And it would give me headaches. And my fine motor, I couldn't hold a pen, so I would try to write and I'd have to let go. I would try, still drop things. So here I was trying to get this book written, and it was so hard. The 3rd stroke was the worst because I actually got progressively worse before I got better with that stroke. It was like delayed. And so I decided I was going to give up on writing at that point. I was like, this is so hard. And I remember my sports agent calling me, and she said, why are you putting God in the corner? And I said, what? She's like, it's not for you to decide this. I said, excuse me, Kelly, you know, I can't really speak well. I can't even write right now. She goes, I don't care. And she goes, so one of the chapters in the book was called The Art of Bouncing Back. And so she says, I think you're playing this too small. You have to get this information out there. So I said, well, no one even knows me in the writing world. She's like, God's got this. Would you know, a week later, I get a call from a literary agent who never takes a chance on first-time authors. Tim Tebow writes with her. All these people write with this agent. And she calls me up and she goes, you know what? I'm tired of hearing your name on the basketball courts. I said, what? She's like, I was just at the NBA All-Star. And she goes, and all I kept hearing about was Coach Dar. She goes, who the hell's Coach Dar? And so she goes, I called and I'm like, I got to meet this person. So she gets on, she goes, what's your story? She goes, and I tell her, and she goes, you've got a book in you. You've helped all these players and people bounce back. There's got to be a formula. I'm like, I don't know. I help people. She's like, well, what do you do? I'm like, literally, when I'm helping people, literally I just know what to do. I don't know how to explain it. She goes, well, you're going to have to think about it. So I did. I sat down, and when I really thought about it, these 9 principles are the principles that help me bounce back from so much adversity in my life, but also all the people that I bounce back from. So I put the formula together, which is a book proposal. And she says, let's go now. Let's go pitch this. Well, I got no, 20 no's. All different publishers. No. I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, but my agent goes, well, I told you don't put God in the corner, and you got to call the next week. We're not giving up. So I get a call from Simon & Schuster, which is a big publisher. And they're like, we want to do a 7-book deal with you. I was like, 7-book deal? What in the world? They wanted bouncing back for the athlete, bouncing back for leaders, bouncing back for high school kids. I was like, this is awesome. I went from no deal to 7. This is great. We get all the way to signing, another lesson and why you have to stay resilient because you never know what's going to hit. We get ready to sign the contract and they go, sales just shut you down. So what do you mean? They said, you don't have enough Instagram followers. I said, what? I said, get them on the phone. We're getting on the phone right now. And so we got on the phone. They're like, sorry, you don't have enough Instagram followers. We don't think your book's going to sell. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I said, this is why I'm a disruptor for good. I don't care that we have enough. The people that I work with don't even care about Instagram. They don't care. We don't need Instagram. And by the way, I said, you could look like an expert on Instagram and not even help one person. It's sometimes so fake. I said, do you know some of the people that are pretending to be therapists and coaches and they haven't even helped the friggin' person? I was like, we need reality here. This is why we need to be a disruptor and show that you can do this without having, they're like, you have to have 100,000 followers. Sorry, no, that was it. I was like, that's okay. So I sat there and literally it was a month later on December 17th of 2021, I got a call from McGraw-Hill Publishing and they said, we want to make your dream a reality. And she says, this woman says, I believe in you and I need you to get your story out there because people need this. But here's the thing. They said, we're going to give you 4 weeks once we sign this contract to get the first draft done. I said, 4 weeks. I said, are you crazy? I don't know how to write a book. And that you're going to give me 4 weeks to write a whole book, my first draft. She's like, try it. I was like, okay. Well, I handed it in. She's like, yeah, your baby's ugly. This is not good. Yeah, I was prepared for this. She's like, yeah, this has got to get way better. I was kind of like, no sugar, Sherlock. Like, I understand that, but I don't know how. So then they gave me another few months, but still in author world, just getting like 3-4 months to write your book is not a lot of time. You have to go through edits. So I was under such a deadline. I was working full time. My sister and brother-in-law and family were obviously taking care of my dad. My dad was sick this time. I felt so bad. But I would have to work and then I'd have to write from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. and then get up and work and 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. And this was nonstop, just going through. And what happened is I was in Scottsdale. They were in New York. So they would get the edits and then they'd call me. So as the chapters got handed in, that means more pages. So then by the end, they're like, hey, we need you to read through the whole book tonight. Like, that's how they call me and say, could you read through the book tonight? I said, listen to me. I've never read through a whole book in one day in my life. And I'm like, I can't scan this like I did in college. Like, I have to actually read this and pay attention. They're like, yeah, is this a problem? No. I'm like, sure, I'll do that. So there was not a lot of sleeping, but this became something that I really, really am grateful because this is such a testament, even the process, that I want you to know nothing great happens without sacrifice. It doesn't. If you want to win in life and you want to go far and you want to make an impact, it takes sacrifice. Or just make an impact in the community or the people around you. And Monty Williams, the former Phoenix Suns head coach, he just got let go. I love him, but he said everything's on the other side of hard. And it's true. And, here's the thing in life. The difference between someone winning and someone not winning is just resilience. It's someone that kept going. And if you've ever seen 30 for 30s and ESPN, they're the greatest shows. And 30 for 30s are always about someone who overcame the odds. And I said this at my father's eulogy, and I mean this. We're all a 30 for 30 in the making. Our story is going to be played out. And we all have adversity. We all have challenges. We all have had things that we have to go through. Problems are a part of life, but how you bounce back is what you're going to be defined by. So how will you get back up in life is really what defines you. It's not the wins. Like, as much as this book is one of the greatest things and sharing this night with you, it's everything that we all overcame to be here tonight. That's the win. That's the win. And we connect by vulnerability in life. We do not connect by, oh, let's hear all our accolades. Those are great and it's part of your story, but how you bounce back is the better story. So I want people to understand, I don't want you to run from adversity. I want you to lean in, because adversity will advance you in life. Struggles will strengthen you. Your test is your testimony. Your mess is your message. And obstacles are just opportunities disguised. But it's only the people that are willing to dig in and lean in and keep going every day to find out and get to the other side. We don't know about the people that gave up because they gave up. We know about the greats in this world and this life and the communities because they never gave up. That's what inspiration is about. And this book starts by chapter 1, embrace the suck. Because I don't even like the word S-U-C-K. I don't like it. But I was sitting there when I wrote this, I'm like, when you go through loss, when you go through heartache, when you go through health issues, you go through challenges, the last thing you want me to come and buy you and be like, come on, buttercup, let's go. You'd be like, beat you, let's go. You just, like, that's the last. But if I come up and say, hey, someone recently just went through something I was helping them with, and I walked up to them and I just said, we're going to embrace this. It sucks. I'm not going to say anything other than it's hard right now. I know it is. And they're like, thank you so much for just saying that. Because it does. I don't want to hear how it's going to be better right now. I just want someone to understand that this beeping hurts. And I said, it does. He said, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to sit here. We're going to talk about it. We're going to embrace it for what it is. And then we're going to make a game plan when you're ready. Because if we don't embrace the pain for what it is, we can't then make the game plan. If you sweep it under the rug, it's coming back later. But you've got to embrace it for what it is. When you embrace it and you identify it, you know, why am I angry? Why am I upset? Why does this hurt? Embrace it so you can move through it. If you don't embrace it, you get stuck and lessons repeat themselves. I've experienced that. So with my family, along with me. Choices. So after you embrace it, the next part of it is understanding your hardwiring. This I love. I love all of them. But this one is one of these things when you go through challenges, guess what? A lot of things can be taken from us. We could go into recession. We could lose things financially. We could even lose challenges with our health. We could have loss. But one thing that's never taken away from you is the gift that's within you. Your hardwiring, your strength, your talent. Each of you have a specific talent, knowledge, wisdom. That's never taken away from you. It's not. So when you understand this, I always go back to this. I'm like, okay, well, how did God hardwire me? Anytime I go through challenges. By my third stroke, I literally sat there. I'm like, well, when I walk, I look drunk. When I speak, I definitely have expressive aphasia because when I say words, I'm like, that wasn't the word I wanted to say. I go to do something with my right hand, my left hand does it. I'm like, this is great. And this is before COVID. I was like, well, I can't do everything like I used to, but I could still try ADLs. I'd still get myself into my daily activities. And so I do that and I put myself on Zoom and I would give these messages. And then I remember put myself to go give a keynote literally a couple months after my stroke. And I got up to give my stroke speech and I said, hey, here are the 3 points I want to make tonight. If I forget, will you remind me? The whole audience listened. They paid attention the whole time because they were afraid I was going to forget. I was like, I'm going to use this as a tactic everywhere I go. But here's the thing. I kept leaning back and I'm like, I got to understand. I got to remind myself. I didn't have my talent or my gift taken away from me. And maybe physical limitations, but no one took away the knowledge I had. No one took away the wisdom. No one takes that away from you. Like that is so profound. You still have it. If you're here, you have it. You didn't get it taken away until we go home. God still gave it to you. You have it. So I tell players all the time. I literally just had a player in the NHL. He sits there and he's like, I'm in such a funk. And I was like, okay, you're in the playoffs. You're not in a funk. You're doing well. Then he's like, I'm out of flow. I said, you might be out of flow, but you still are the 1%er. The talent didn't get take away. You've been playing this game at the highest level. It didn't go away. It's just your mindset. So as soon as he understand that, and then I had him write a confidence card. I said, I need you to write down all the things that you're good at. Just like when you got scouted, write them down. So for you, I call this in the book a confidence card. Seriously, write down the things that you are gifted in or the knowledge you have to offer this world. We look at the things that we lack all the time rather than the things we have. You have more than you lack. You just keep focusing on what you lack rather than what you have, and that's the challenge. So understand your hardwiring. And I'm not going to be able to go through all 9 principles because you'll be here an hour and we only have so much time. But I want to say just a couple more principles. As you go along, one of the other things is learning how to reframe setbacks. So there's a part in this story that I write about. When I was 25 and I was working at Gaylord Hospital, all my people at Gaylord, I love you. Gaylord has such a special place in my heart because it was like 90210 for us, like Melrose Place. We were all young, starting our career. We were taking care of traumatic brain injury patients, stroke patients, spinal cord patients, and mostly the TBI unit. We all worked together as a unit. But that's where I had my first stroke, and they misdiagnosed it when they first had it. They're like, "Oh, we think you have encephalitis. We think you have a tumor behind your ear." Meanwhile, it was a vertebral artery dissection, which left me with a blood clot. I did not handle it well then, and I actually suppressed more than I was dealing with than I let on, which don't do that. But all to say, when that happened, I was married at the time, and they had told me that I couldn't have children because the blood clot, if it dislodged, they said, "Here's the thing: the child could live, but you could die. Would you want to have a child without a mother?" And I was like, "Well, no." And at 25, I honestly was frustrated because I was like, I'm not supposed to be dealing with this decision right now. We're telling, like, we were going to have a family. I just bought the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting. I would read it at night, and I was so excited. I really thought we were going to have this like great little athlete. And but that's not the plan. And so here's the thing about reframing things. I go all these years. I'm 47 now, and when I was writing this, I was 46. But I go all these years thinking I couldn't have children. And I'm in the middle of writing the chapter Reframing Setbacks. And I go to the neurologist because I was getting headaches again, and I wanted to make sure that there was nothing wrong. I wasn't going to have another stroke. And I get to the neurologist. It's a new neurologist in Arizona. And it's two neurologists, just like it was two neurologists when I was 25. And they're standing there, and they look at me and they said, "Dar, did you say you thought you couldn't have children?" And I looked at the guy, I go, "Oh, no, no. Not that I thought, I was told I couldn't." And he goes, "I'm so sorry, but all these years you could have had children." I said to him, "What?" He goes, "No, there are so many ways that this could have been done." And I've avoided certain relationships because I didn't want to affect someone's life if I couldn't have children. So I just stayed by myself. And that hit me so hard because I would have loved to have had a family, loved it. And I'm so grateful to have my family. But I thought, why did I even have to hear this right now? And I had to go coach some players right after this. So I got in the car and I sat there and I'm like, why do I need to know this? So what I did is I reframed the very principle in here. And here's the reframe. There is absolutely nothing I could do about this. There's nothing. It's, as Aunt Tilly used to say, it's water over the dam. Okay. So I sat in the car and I said, well, what do I need to learn from this? And the reframing is this, is if God wanted it, it would have happened. Number one. Number two is I've been able to help over 100,000 people around the world. So my mission was literally to go serve people. So if I had had children, I might not be able to help all the people that I would have. So I was where I'm supposed to be. So when I reframed it, I said, if God wanted it, it would have happened. And the reframe is I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And to be honest, I never set out to be in sports. That's where I was called to later on. And it's as if I have a lot of young people that I'm helping. And I feel grateful because I was on the 700 Club for an interview. And the woman said after this, I feel like you had to trade out your dreams for God's dreams. And I said, yeah. And then I go, but no, yes. But here's the thing. God's dreams are way bigger than my dreams. So how awesome is this? Whatever he wants is freaking better than what I have. So let's go. And honestly, I've been on a mission, which is hard because remember I started this sacrifice. I've had to leave home for all these years and miss out on things. And I miss out on things back home where I live in Scottsdale too. I'm not at events. I'm not at people's things. I mean, you see me at events, but you hear talk to my sister. I'm in the airport more than I'm at things long enough. So I am always on the go. What looks like everything you might see on social is amazing, but I'm by myself more times than not getting to places to go fill people up. But it's a calling and it's been a mission. So whether it was a mission in Haiti or a mission doing this, that's where I've been called to. So nothing good happens without sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice at times. This is the sacrifice that God called me to. But reframe setbacks. And a player once said to me when he got off the ice, he says, here's a reframe. He says, Dar, I suck. I'm so bad. I'm awful. And I said, you get about 2 more minutes because what you say, your body feels, and that's what becomes. He's like, did you not see the game? I said, oh yeah, that sucked. That was bad. That was bad. You're not bad. Okay? Big difference. Reframe for everyone here. A bad day does not mean a bad life. A bad year does not mean a bad life. Do not catastrophize something in your mind. A little pebble turns into a mountain in our head. And so the reframe is to look at it and say, what is truth and what is false? Reframe what you're thinking so you're telling yourself the truth rather than feeding the false. Because what you think, you believe, and you start to feel, which also creates physical limitations. So watch what you are feeding your mind because it affects you. Reframe it. And as you get to the end of this book, and we'll close in just a second, is that okay? You okay? Okay. We're going to go to questions. I'm going to end with one last part of this. The last thing ends with turn the page. After you go through this and you build grit, because let me just say this, if you were to raise someone and you want them to be strong in this life, you would never give them an easy life. You'd teach them through adversity how to get strong. We've all had problems. We've all had challenges. You don't want someone to have an easy life because they never build strength. You go physically to go get fit and lift at the gym. You have to go through adversity to get mentally and emotionally stronger. It's what makes us better. So at the end, when you've done all the work and you've learned the lesson and you've taken what you needed to out of pain, you've got to turn the page on it. Do not let things in the past hold you up from the present. Okay? Because you can't write a new chapter if you're still on the last page. And our cars are made with big windows so we could look ahead to where we're called to. And there's a small rear view mirror. The lamps in the back to see what you need to, but look ahead to where you're called to. That's how you move forward. Thank you, everyone.
So who has questions?
Questions, comments?
I can see a few brewing on some faces.
I just want to say something really quick is the power of words. I brought this. One, these are the first glasses I've ever had. These are my first pair of glasses. But the other thing is, we were going through cleaning out some things, and this is a card for my mom, and it says, never, never, never give up. Dar, she calls me. I'll never, never stop cheering for you. Love and kisses, Mom. But this is the power of words. She literally was my cheerleader. So who are you the cheerleader for? Who do you need to be the cheerleader for? You have a question? You're the cheerleader for him?
Yes.
Oh, yes, go ahead. Okay.
What is your best advice for high school teenagers that are, they're trying to see life, they struggle with certain things, peer pressure and all that, to get through those tough years?
High school is going to be probably your hardest time. There's going to be a lot of adversity, but because you get to look back as you're older and you're like, you can make sense of it. And it feels like everything is permanent. It's like, if this happens or this struggle, it's the heaviest thing in the world and it's hard. But Sophia's here and she could attest to what she had to get through, and she's doing amazing right now. So high school's hard, but it's part of the training ground. I want you to reframe it to see as these challenges you're going through now are actually working for you, because go through them now. So when you get older, it's actually where you're grittier. You're way more resilient. Because if you went through high school without challenges, when they come, you're not going to be as prepared later. So this is like you're getting physical and mental training now. Stick with it. What I'll say to you is please don't ever give up. The days that you feel like you don't want to go or you don't want to get up, I ask you to keep going, because what feels dark, there's always a crack of light. The light's going to come. Don't give up.
Other questions?
Yes. Well, one thing she said, how to find your calling, or how do you find mine? So there's a part in the book where I talk about why power over willpower. This is really great to do. where if you had to, you are the author right now in the sense of how people will remember you. So if it was your 100th birthday and we were toasting to you, what is the anthem you'd want people to be known for? So mine, when I had this, and a mentor did this with me, mine was awakening greatness, like greatness. I want people to reach their highest level. Because if everyone is working at their highest level, the whole world benefits. Because if we only come in and work at 50%, we're gypping ourselves and everyone. We need to be at our best. We want to be 1% better, not perfect, 1% better. So what in your life would you want your anthem to be? And the way you do this is go to Google, put in core values, look at all the core values that come up and see which words resonate with you. That almost is like your anthem and mantra for life. That when it's played out and they're like, oh, you were known for love, integrity, truth, unity. This is what I want to be known for. And take the book and work through the exercise because you'll come up with your mission statement. And your mission helps you go forward. A soldier cannot go into battle without mission, right? I don't want you waking up every day not knowing which way you're going, which direction. This will give you guidance and it's going to be like your lighthouse. You're welcome.
That is great. What else?
Anyone else?
I have a question. Oh, no,
Yeah.
we have one right there.
So Dar, I happened to see your thing on Facebook when we were walking through the airport,
Yeah.
candy apple,
Oh, yes.
and one of your suggestions was if you're at a grocery store,
Yes.
ask a red
Mhm.
person what their favorite candy. So I did,
Oh, you did it?
yeah. And the girl, she goes, oh my God. But that was so nice of you. I can't believe
Yeah.
somebody did that.
Isn't that
Anyway,
amazing?
it felt good.
Yeah.
It felt good. Act of kindness,
Mhm.
you know.
Act of
not-
kindness.
Not too much of that.
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
But-
That's good book trade.
Yeah. Well, so this is my Uncle Bobby, and two things he said first is he was talking about, I shared a couple examples. The way to get through grieving, the way to get through adversity is truly, as you keep getting up, Uncle Bob, and you keep serving, if you literally are in service of others, you're never going to be able to take away the pain of loss, but it gets you to focus on other things. And I'll say, sometimes you're going to be grieving, but rather than focusing on the loss, celebrate the life, share about her, talk about her, celebrate it, and for all the good that was there, rather than the loss that's there. We know the loss is there, but so I try to celebrate mommy. I mean, I talk about mommy and daddy so much that people are like, one person goes, are you still talking about your parents? It's like, you talk about Princess Diana that you've never even met. You know? My mother and father. Baby Tupac. I was like, people. I was like, yes, my parents. So sorry, Becky. And the other thing is service, because the more you make other people feel better, we were made, when we help others, we feel better. So the example I gave was this woman was walking through I was walking through the airport. It was like late at night. I was starving, and the only thing that was open was Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. Not even supposed to have dairy, but I was starving. I was going to eat the inside of the apple. And I got it, and I just wanted to get in the car and bite it. And I got the bag, and all of a sudden I'm walking and I see this lady walking beside me. And this is about being observant of others every day. This woman looked like she was going to cry, and I felt it. And I said, ma'am, I don't even know what you're going through. But I said, I literally just bought this. I haven't even opened it. It's that big apple with all the M&Ms on it. I'm like, I want you to have it. She starts crying and she goes, my son just turned 6 years old and I don't even have a present for him because I work 3 jobs. Now I don't have to walk in empty handed. I literally was like, what else do I have in my bag? And then the other thing was, when you're in the grocery store, ask the cashier, because no one looks in their eyes and talks to them anymore. These are human beings. And say, hey, what's your favorite candy? They think you're getting candy for you. With Reese's Pieces. Put it on the belt, and when you check out and they put it in the bag, pull it out and give it back to them. That's what he did when he heard the story. But do those simple things. I buy flowers at the grocery store and I walk out and I give them to people. One time a lady goes, I don't need those. I'm flying out of here tomorrow. I was like, geez, I can't even get flowers. Anyways, but The act of kindness is one of the greatest boomerangs because when you serve others, it helps you. And in any time you're in adversity, get up and get out there and serve people.
What else? Other questions?
How's your time?
We got two
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Okay.
I have to say, you talk about how you still talk about your parents.
Yeah.
I have a friend, she recently passed, she was 106 years old. So
106 years old. Her name is Olga. And actually, she kind of just fell into my life the last few years.
Okay.
And so I started to bring my children to see her because I wanted them to meet her. And so after church on Sundays, we would go to the bakery. And so I'd get a cookie, they'd get a cookie and I'm like, oh, let's get Olga a cookie. And so we bring Olga a cookie to where she was living. She had lived in her own apartment, okay, with her sister at the time. And yes, yeah, right. And so turns out that I bring my daughter, my son and my daughter, and they're about to start school now for the semester, September. And I said, Olga, can you give Benjamin and Alice some advice for starting school? What did you tell them would be some good things to about? No joke. She said, well, my daddy used to say, and I'm like, you're 106 years old. He's like, well, my daddy would say, just do the best you can. And that's it.
Yeah. Just at Nike. That's saying long before Nike did. That's all I grew up saying about Crocs.
So when your parents give good advice,
Yeah.
you always hold on to it. You always wanna share.
Definitely. Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Thank you. You have a question?
One more question.
Yeah.
Pat, did you have a question?
I saw it.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, you have. one.
I just want to say, I do it every single day, even some little bit of kindness, holding the door.
It makes a
I'm
difference.
My, it makes me feel good to be quick. Sometimes people will go, oh, no, you don't have to work. I'm gonna do my one act. That's you, good for yourself.
We want to unite the world. Be kind. You know where it starts with us. It doesn't start with someone else. It literally starts with us and not sometimes, all the time. Be consistent. I mean, we're gonna get triggered. I was triggered in the airport the other day. I was like, I'm fishing. And then I said, she's like, darn, I know I need to refrain. Technology and inefficiency and lazy. That triggers me. Like Nikki, he says, I knew my aunt wrote this book because there was a part in the book, I'm like, if you don't want to get better, why are you reading this? It's like, bloody darn, that's not gonna make people buy the book. I'm like, one, they already did if they're reading it. They will after, and then, well, they don't want to get better, they're not gonna call me for coaching.
That was great. Thank you so much.